Okay, and at the time of 8 minutes past 3, I've started the stream. Let's get all the windows in the right places. There we go. The obligatory, this stream is not intended for children. I will inevitably be swearing at my software at least at some point during proceedings. Yeah. So I'm going to start drawing some fences, because that seems like a good idea. Now, the easy way to do this, probably not the way I'm going to end up actually doing it, but we'll see. Hello, Ash. So, because of how the CAD software works, you can't draw items that are disconnected, because it doesn't understand, particularly. Now, my plan is to... words. Good start, right. I'm making scale fence posts. I'm then going to make them into wire fences, so they'll be a bit more sturdy. I would use actual wire, or like cotton thread or something, but... I want it to be like the fairly kind of substantial fencing you'd get. Like, you know, the edge of car parks and stuff to stop cars, you know, just running over like pavements and stuff, that kind of thing. So I want the fence post to be 3 foot high, because that seems adequate. I could go as high as 4 feet if I was feeling extravagant. I think 3 foot will do, though. It's more of a barrier rather than a, you know, stopping people going places. So I'm going to need 3 foot, so that's 21mm. But I'm also going to need the bit that goes into the ground. And I want them to be fairly secure, so I'm going to go with 30mm total. So I'm going to then extrude that 2mm, because, well, if they're approximately 3 inch rather, concrete posts, they'll, words. Nope, can't do them today apparently. Right, 3 foot concrete posts are 3 inch concrete posts at 7mm to the foot are approximately 1.75. But 1.75 is an inconvenient number, and with the slight compression and everything of the file and all that gubbins when it prints, it's gonna, you know, lose stuff. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna make the rail. It's a 3-rail fence, 1 every foot. It should be a 4-rail fence if it was 1 every foot, wouldn't it? It's going to be slightly less than every foot, unless I make the fence post slightly tall. I'll make the fence post slightly taller. That'll work. Are these for yourself or for a customer? Initially, these are for me, because I really want to get my range of precast scenery, essentially, bigger. Because I've got all the water tower stuff I've been working on. I'll try and get some pictures up, maybe on the stream in a little bit. Now, the easiest way to make sure that the fence sits on the ground at the correct height is to put a fence rail right on the bottom. Because these can be printed horizontal, so kind of anything that sticks out both sides. If it only sticks out one side, it'll look a bit odd. So basically the intention would be, I've got a foam core bed, so what I'm going to do is I will poke a hole for this end to sit into. Nice and simple. Right, so these need to be every foot apart, so they need to be 7mm. Now, I need to close that out. I need to open the... can OBS see this? It can't. That's fortunate. So I'm going through the massive heap of reference files I've got. And it doesn't bring them up on screen, but you can see where my mouse is going. Joy. Alright, end stanchion? End railing, there we go. So this is what it's loosely going to be based off of. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the rails, the sidey longy bits that diameter or not. Sketch 1. No, it's not sketch 1. Is it sketch 2? No. Is it just sketch? No, because I cut that off afterwards. That's the other way you can do this, of course, is just cut them out. So that's 0.4, so I could go probably 0.4, maybe as much as 0.5 without issue. 0.4s come out pretty nicely and they're quite delicate. Alright, that'll do. So just highlight all those, make them all equal, set the radius to 0.4. Now they look pretty skinny, so that's more wire fence than rod fence. Does that make sense? Wire fence would make sense. What am I talking about? Let's realign it. Now, because I've made it into nice simple millimeter chunks, this gets pretty easy to do. This should be 29. There we go. Now, I want there to be... That'll look alright. Obviously, it's not going to look right yet because it's not in the right orientation, but that's beside the point. Well, yes, it is Brexit Day. I'm trying to keep my work stuff slightly separate from all the rest of my terrible things I do on this channel, just in case people from like my day job find this, and by my day job, like my drawing work job. Be advised, I try and be very professional, and I'm capable of being very professional, but I also have videos where I'm having a laugh. I think that's sufficient. So I need 28. Just need to go up to 31 in that direction, and then dimension 2. So I've got a little bit of a stub sticking out the other end. And now I could draw these fences as multiple units long, or I could draw them as single units long. Now the other thing I need to remember is if I'm doing them at 4-foot centres, because that would be advisable, I want to draw it there and not be dumb about how I'm doing it. So if this does go well and I've got some printed, the printer is already on in the background, as I'm sure you can hear. I will obviously try and get a picture for next time. Now, the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need some gates in this. Now, how big of a gate do I need, though, is the question. Because I've got this little fence, and I'm tempted to print these in more panels, because I can always just cut off the end and have a spare post. Because, to be honest, this, even at high quality, these aren't going to take long. So what I'm going to do then is edit this one, make it an extra 28mm long, which will be 57. Still seems very short, but I can align them in the printer. Output area thing. Lovely. My choice of lazy higher energy breakfast, because I was feeling kind of tired when I woke up, has already not paid off. That's the one I wanted. There we go. As I have the lovely ill feeling. Excellent. I am a very healthy person, which is why you may notice I'm doing this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekday. So The initial one was just as a... I probably should have included all of the radiusing at the end, but generally, at least the ones I can remember when I was younger and saw them around the place more before it went to just the precast, you know, like blocks of fencing, or the really, really generic ones. You used to get concrete post with wires running through it, and occasionally you get a loop wire, or you could put like chicken wire on this side, or something to stop things getting through. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to be enough to bed it into the ground solidly, but it should be okay. Things I don't have anything on the surface, because although I'm going to bury some of this stuff, because I do want to make like a big plaster sheet for the yard, I might just do it out of cardboard, because I want to have some textures, I guess. So that's not the button I want to press. Dexterity, what even is it? Okay, miscellaneous. Save it as fence 1, because that's a adequate description, right? Alright then, let's switch to Curva. I actually got something else I was meant to be printing first, but never mind, I'm going to be printing these. So, again, it's not showing you the massive long list of files that I've got to search through. There we go, so fence number 1. So the front of the printer is there, so he's going to be printing horizontal. Now that doesn't look like much, and it is 60 by 30, which is very convenient numbers, and I'm going to want... Oh, I'm going to starve a couple of feet, I guess. So those are 2 inches long, ish. So I'm going to need another 11. Now obviously in that format, that's not very much use, but what I am going to do is one thing I probably could do is make an alternate version of it with a half-size post, so I can join them together. But the half-size post is going to look silly, so I'm not going to do that actually, because that wouldn't help. Right, this one is in a good place. I'm going to set it to 40 below, because tidy numbers. Now that gets them overlapping there. Now that's obviously not quite right, so I need to then bring it in by another 4mm. Now is that going to be a problem? I will show you what might be a problem with that shortly, but let's get the others set up. So that's 0, 56, 56, not 56, minus 56, 56, 40, 40, 56, 40, top or bottom? Top. Minus 80, 56, minus 80, minus 80, minus 56. There we go. So that is 4 panels. Now, if I believe it's got any of the extra steps on. No. Okay, so if I slice this at a highish quality, it's not the highest quality, but there is an option that goes higher still. Right. Ah, okay, it's actually doing it this time, I think. So where that overlap is, see, it's got a slight fatness to it, I guess, for want of a better word. If I drag down the layers, it's got a join in it, but it's not a gap, which is useful. Where is it doing that from? Because I'm trying to find where it does that. It's one of the modes, and I can't remember which mode it is. It's not quality, not travel. What other plans do you have for your train yard? Well, one of the main things I want to get done is I want to build myself a good shed. But that's going to be a bigger task, because I'm going to need to make a lot of interior for it, and it's going to have double skin walls. Now I have plans for it, but I need to solidify them a bit more. Now, I'm just going to hit the quality cog and try and work out where it's not any of these. Okay, it's not shell, it's not infill, it's not material, it's not speed, it's not travel, it's not cooling, it's not support. It'd be good if it just remembered this, but it doesn't always seem to do that. Mesh fixers, that's the one. So union overlapping volumes, alternate mesh removal, I think that's the one. Merged meshes overlap, is that the one? I think that's the one. Okay. So this should now want me to re-slice it, but it's not asking me to. Okay, let's slice that again. So I think it had already actually had these settings in, because that's not changed. Yeah, no, that's not changed. Excellent, it had already got it in. So it's going to take 2 hours to print. And that's not great, but it's not terrible either, considering, you know, most of that 2 hours is going to be me mumbling absent-mindedly at you peoples. Ugh. Oh, my spine is not appreciating how I woke up. Excellent. So, I'm only running printer number 2 at the moment, as printer number 1 had been particularly unreliable, and is currently just being used as a place to store bits and pieces. Because, you know, that's what you do with delicate hardware. Fence number 1, 4 panels of it. Those panels are approximately 6 inches each. They're a bit more than 6 inches because it's 28mm, not 25mm. 7 inches, close enough. It's a scale of 24 feet. Eject. Ejecting always takes a while because sometimes it doesn't do it very quickly, and if you pull it out too quick, sometimes it just corrupts the entire stick, and then you have to rebuild lots of files, some of which can take legitimately hours to set up. So that's always fun. Currently using the some of the plastic kindly given to me by Omegon, and I'm going to have to turn my light on because it's now raining outside and it's gone dark. Excellent. Back in a mo. Right then. Hello, Cross. So, I'm going to open up another Cura and see how my OBS likes this. It probably won't, is my guess. Let's wait till it gets there. Now, if my room was tidier, I might set up a feed so you could see the printer, but there's not much to see. Okay, so it's only looking at one copy of Cura and not the other copy that I have open. Right, so that's not very helpful. Okay then, let's swap those out then. Go back to FreeCAD. So the fence is done. Now let's move back to the front end. Right, so this is one of the parts I've been working on. It's fairly complex. By complex, really awkward to draw. Especially because the drawings I have for this are not complete. So I've got a few bits that have gaps in them, or bits that don't quite work. And I probably should try and correct some of them. Things like these panels are not the right sizes necessarily. And I'm trying to... does this. Sometimes if you hold down the wrong button, it starts just rotating it gently around on its own. What is that? That is that one. Okay. So I need to adjust these to make them more consistent. And which one of these is it? That one's not locked. Okay, this is the one. Now that one is as correct as I think it's going to be. That is 0.8. These terrible, hideous numbers. Right, so I'm going to try and pull that one back a little bit so it's not got such a harsh edge. So 32.6. How's that looking? That printer's starting up. It's gotten warm. So that's now in the other direction. Now the thing is, this isn't actually going to have much of an effect because that 0.1 wall isn't doing anything. I've not got it set to auto-update because when it's got a lot of stuff in the file like this one has, auto-updating can actually be really detrimental. Side view? No. Different side view. An extra side view. There we go. Now that is not... that needs to come about 0.2 further back. Yeah, I can at least attempt to answer questions about 3D printing or what I'm doing. That is my normal thing that I say at the beginning of each of these streams. I just have not on this occasion, apparently. Okay, so that's flipped itself around. So I need to go back a sketch, and then pick this face, align it to that side of it, and it should, there we go, fix things, and I can just edit sketch. So it's a teeny tiny bit away from where it would be very useful to be. So it should be sketch 15, yes. 24.7? Let's see how 24.7 comes out. I reckon that should do it. Yeah, that's close enough. Close enough is close enough. Now the other thing I need to do, because this didn't work last time I tried it, is these walls are very thin and they get a lot of vibration, a lot of heat through them, so they fall off. So I need to put at least thin bars underneath this just to tie it together so it doesn't pinch in, because my last one of these came out fine, apart from the higher up it went, the narrower it got. So I'm going to try and start working on the cab of this today, because that should be the most interesting part, because it is going to be me just kind of slowly losing my mind. So this is not going to be a complete wall up the whole of it, it's just going to be a base wall. I hadn't expected that. 1.5? Did I really do a 0.5 long? I did do a 0.5 long. Ugh. Make that a mil thick. There we go. So that should tie the back down adequately. But I'm also going to put some across these doors. Now, if I was feeling particularly extravagant, and I might later on, I'll see how it goes, but at the moment, the Class 03 at least, this is the 04, has been released by Helgen for the not unimpressive price of about 300 and something quid, which I consider to be fuckloads. So I might try and do a better one, because if I can buy a Dapol Terrier, or similar, for less than that, put a new body on it, have it look alright, you know, then at least for me, that works quite nicely. And if I can do one that's got all the proper gubbins, because fortunately, I follow loads of train pages, including one where people are rebuilding one of these, and they have all of the nice internal details visible, which is rather pleasant. So I will need to add the radiator grill to this at some point, but I'll be doing that later on, probably using some sieve. Well, I might try and get some crochet mesh. No, is it crochet mesh? Like the stuff you use for sewing. Wow, this is only pad number 5. Well, put one there. And one there. These are again just to make sure everything stays stuck down to the printer, as otherwise I get the lovely job of going, oh, I've spent several hours doing this, how did it come out? Terrible. Oh. But yeah, the intention of this is I have a donor chassis for a Terrier, which has approximately the right size I need for what I have planned. It's not exact. However, why is this? Oh. But however, I'm going to do the, I think it's the, what's it called? The something in Wisbech tramway, which is in, I want to say Norfolk, that had these that ran down like tram lines, and because they ran down tram lines they had to have various safety features, which was cow catchers and side plates, so that any animals or small children or whatever that tried to throw themselves underneath it would be relatively safely deflected aside. Relatively. So that should be that completed, and that can now go onto the drawings pile of things to print. This also is going to require quite a few other bits and pieces, because I need to make a fuel depot, or at least a little fuel depot. Now the question is, chat, do you want me to try and draw the cab for this locomotive, or do you want me to try and draw a coaling platform first? The choice is yours. There's no rush on the choice either, as I need to get this set up in Cura. Drury 04 front end. Can I just get OBS to change its mind on which one it's looking at? Properties, there we go. Ultimate Cura. It's only... Oh, okay, it's only accepting this one version of Cura open. Ha. Well, I guess you only get to see the one I'm looking at. Okay, in that case then, I'm going to save this file. No, I'm not. There's no point. It's a stub file at best. Right. Hey, there we go. Right. So that's how it's come in the file. I'm not quite sure what that artifact is there. Right, that's got a tear in it. Lovely. Okay, let's go back into CAD and see if that's... Ah, yeah. Alright. Something is just too close to the surface, and I have no idea what it is. It's not that sketch. Is it this sketch, or is it the sketch before? It's this sketch. Now, I'm pretty sure I made this plate thicker. Sketch 11. See, because if I move this, I've got to make sure everything else stays in place. Although, to be fair, I could probably just move all these without much issue. Right then, I guess I'll do that. So, 5.5. 7.5. Everything's moving by 0.5-ish. Right, and then 23. Is that missing? Let's update that and see how it comes out. Because there should be something there, and there's not, that I can see. That's now further away. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. So this end should be better, should be better. Actually, I could probably pinch that in a little bit further, but never mind. That's better. That's better. Don't worry. Yeah, no, in theory I can make stuff for people, but it depends what you want, really. Right, so that's that side done. If I do that, zoom out, I can see up all better. That begs the question, why is that 3.5 and not 3? So 30.5, 3. And nothing should change other than that one. But now it doesn't align with those ones underneath it. Oh. Never mind. It doesn't need to. I don't think so anyway. Now if I had a complete set of drawings for this, which as far as I'm aware I don't. I've not checked all through that big bundle of drawings I got, but just going to get my snipping tool out, because that's the easiest way of copying measurements accurately, is just have a copy of them. So that's that done. Now it's part number 12. Now I do it all again. So 5.5. Free. 30.5. Free. 22.5. And then 30.5. I'm not too sure of that, but it seems to work. Let's update and see. Yeah, no, I'd say just because I specialise in train stuff doesn't mean I'm not open to doing other things. If people have requests, things they'd like me to try, do let me know. That should now have fixed that problem. Should. And yet, those holes are still there. Because they're the ones at the front. Sketch number 10. Nope. Sketch number 9. Nope. I don't want to just put a radius or something on this edge, but I might. Might actually have helped more than I anticipated. But I say there's that. It just pierces through the side, so I need to move it 0.1 of a mil. It's probably the easiest option. It's going to be thin, but as long as it's only thin and not physically a gap, it shouldn't be an issue. Okay. See, that side's now gone, but that side still has the artifact tear. That's nice and easy to fix then. So 1.9, 5.6. So that just pulls in a teeny bit. I have to put this way, these holes are not particularly precise. They're going to get slightly bored out with my Dremel or a pin vise as appropriate. And then they're going to have the handrails glued into them. So I was kind of tempted to make all these doors as individual things, make that as individual things, make the frame, and have them all go on the outside, but then I have to just glue them on. And that isn't a bad thing, but it's a bit much for a test. Basically, if this works and looks alright at the end of it, then great. I probably will make a better version. I might even have a go at making the engine block if it'll, well, some of the engine block if I can make it fit. Right then, so back to Kura. So they've still got these holes in it because it's slightly pierced the outside. So if I add the same part in again, there we go. See, now it doesn't have those red lines. So I'll get rid of that one, because that version is irrelevant. I'm going to put it through 90, no, not that 90 degrees, the other 90 degrees, there we go. Centre it. There we go, that's not too bad looking. It's going to have things like the chimney. Going to go on there. Not quite sure what type of chimney yet. Probably go with the pinched in one rather than the... Well, actually, no, I could go for the flower pot chimney. Context for this is available if you search for pictures of them, I guess. Printer Y. 16 minutes in, it's time to spit parts out. So I'm going to go and check on that while this thing slices. Hooray! Grumble, grumble, grumble. Right, which one's even come off? I don't see a gap. I don't see a gap as one's come out. Alright. That's weird. Alright, printer. Is that why that one looks weird? Because it came off earlier and you've just been printing under compressed, I suppose. Oh, that's one of those. And one of those. Are those the good ones or are those the bad ones? That is bad one. My printer occasionally just sheds parts onto the desk underneath it. Ooh, that's not good. Alright, no, that patches. See that noise you might have just heard then? That was the sound of it kicking something off the bed. So I'm going to have to restart this print, which is annoying. Problem with parts that are very small, they can have very low surface area. Although, all but the ones that apparently came off have been really stubborn. I will probably be able to use these parts for other purposes. So I'm going to put them into a available open wagon. Because all the trucks I make that don't have stuff in them, by like, you know, reasons, I just use for storing little plastic parts. Because, well, hey, why not? I've got one that's just full of failed prints for axle boxes and things. So they all go somewhere, and eventually I'll get around to just gently gluing them all down. And by gently gluing them down, like PVA or something. Spray paint it all up and just paint it very thoroughly like rust. So it just looks like the, you know, like the warehouse clean out sort of thing of all the broken junk. So it can go off to get scrapped. Come on. Peel off. Right, this is, I'm sure, very interesting to watch, as I do stuff that you cannot see, and cannot really probably discern what I'm doing based on hearing alone. But don't worry, because I won't be long. One of the other jobs I've got to do soon is I've got to do more water tower work. I've got to draw a signal box. I've got to redraw some of a different signal box and get all that done. Good times. So, this is now ready. 4 hours 49 minutes. And the preview of it is pretty good. Now, I could probably have made the louvres stand out a bit more. Had I done the thing that I meant to? As much as I can zoom in. I think so. The front wall's quite sturdy, just in case of, I guess, a front-on collision, as the motor control board is about here-ish, and I wouldn't want it getting smashed in the event of it having an accident. So, next up then is the cab. So let's switch back to FreeCAD. Also, I'm going to need to open up my folder that contains the drawings for this. Now, is it in my documents folder, or is it in my pictures folder? It's in my documents folder. I could probably use this as the thumbnail for the stream, to be honest, but not sure how well that would go with having any idea what it meant. I could probably add it in as the source. Why not? Right. Window capture. Spell approximately correctly. Claims to be this. Alright. Yeah, that doesn't work. Excellent. Well, I tried. So, the cab for this is fairly simple to sort out. Hopefully. This doesn't have... That's not very helpful. The easy thing to do is I'll open up the frames. Because this is the plank that everything sits on. So it's got a bit of clearance at the front and at the back. But that is 158 long to the insides. And that was 101.5 plus a bit. Now at one point I had this calibrated so I could simply measure my screen. That's what I've done. I'm being slow, please forgive me. Right, where's my ruler? Yeah, I have it this bootleg that I'm quite literally just measuring the screen. Come on, there we go. Why did I put that just out of reach? So that's... It's, however, I've measured it feet to centimetres, which isn't good. But I can use it at least to convert centimetres to the correct centimetres. So the cab is 7 feet deep. So close that. I haven't actually opened a new file yet. New file. Now, the question is, do I draw this as a side panel or as all of it in one go? Because I think I'm going to have to make it as that sort of way. I know what I'm doing, allegedly. Alright. Ooh, stretching to get that was not good. It's almost like I've got a messed up ribcage or something, and apparently just leaning slightly was enough to make that difficult. Okay, so 7 foot. At 7mm the foot is 49. I want to have at least a millimetre wall thickness for this, just because otherwise it's going to be very flimsy. And it is 7.5 feet wide, allegedly. Check. Yep, it's 7.5 feet wide, or near enough. So 7.5 feet is 49 plus 3.5, so that is 52.5. I'm going to narrow that down to just 52. Because I'm not quite sure about the 7.5 foot. So there's that. Now I need to make it tall. And how tall is it? So, if this is the correct measurement, because I'm bootlegging it, it is 7.5 foot, sorry, 6.5 foot to the cab side. And it is about 7'4" ish. Could probably work it out more tidily, but... So it's 7'4", which is almost 7'6", which is, again, about 52. So the cab is functionally square, at least in the front aspect of it. Alright, so now we go there to there. So now carve away the lid, and by the lid, the thing, the radius, because it's got a curved roof. Because, you know, roofs generally are curved. So that goes to there. Now I said 6.5 foot, didn't I? Let's double check what it thinks it is on this one. It is 6.5 foot. And on this one, I've got the side view and the end view. They both agree 6.5 foot. And 6.5 foot at 7mm scale is 42 plus 3.5, it's 45.5. And it is 8? What is 52 wide? Because that should be 26, but it's not. Oh. Really? Really? Yeah, plonker. Right, so those measurements need to coincide with that. No, they don't. Right, undo, right. These just need to coincide with each other. Then they both need to coincide with that. Right, there we go. Now I can adjust it and it'll adjust the radius properly. Okay, 24.5 apparently. Is that 51? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Because I made it 51, not... Is it 52.5? What am I talking about? Chat, where did I go wrong with this? What am I talking about? Ah! I know what I'm doing wrong. I've done it for the length, not for the width, because I've drawn this in the wrong orientation. Which one do I adjust? There we go. Right. That was probably not the better one to adjust, but never mind. 26. There we go. And 1. Now just shave away all of that. So through all. Okay, so that's the nice and simple basic shed done. Now is the windows and the doors. So I think I'll start with the... I'm not going to make it so the doors can open, but I'm going to put grooves in around the doors so you can see where they're meant to be. So the windows are therefore the next one to do. Now the windows have all got the nice rounded edges. After I think it was the Comet airliners that realised they got metal fatigue around the square windows and then they started falling out of the sky. I need to remember these windows are going to have surrounds on them, so I'm going to come back a bit later and add those in, but for now this will do. People who follow my channel for most of the other stuff I do and not for this kind of stuff. I'm going to try and stream some more games soon. Might try and get my Minecraft channel a bit more active, and by a bit more active, at all active. I'm going to potentially go back to try and doing some reviews, because I've not watched Game of Thrones in a while, and I've seen a few reviews of it recently that made me laugh. So I might go back to doing some of that and just having a... Now I've had some time to, like, you know, look back on it. How bad really was Season 8? That kind of thing. Might stream later, just for the for a sort of, I guess, see if anything happens political stream, but I don't know if I'm going to bother. Mostly just me chuckling at whatever people write on Twitter as they screech and cry about current events, which have been being current events for far too long. Needs to have gotten it over with, because now it's actually started, you know, confirmation of it, I guess. I'm going into it when I said I wasn't going to, never mind. Now it's actually gotten into it, all the, you know, doom and gloomers are kind of being shown to be wrong, but what can you do? I guess screech and moan more. Aha. Right, windows! These windows are 3.5 foot on the outside. So I'm going to add surrounds to them. So 3.5 foot is 24.5. I'm going to add a millimetre of framing on each of them. That probably makes sense. So 21.5 is 19.5. No, it's not. It's 24.5. So that's 22.5. Because these are going to be ones that punch all the way through the image thing. And these are 22.5 foot. So 2.5 foot is 14, 17.5, 15.5. What's the radius on these? I'm not really too sure. It's 3-inch radius? So 1.5? Looks about right. Right, now, next. How far is this from the front? About half. So these are shunting diesels, so they're pretty big on visibility from as many sides as is viable, at least in the primary direction of travel. So if I put this to 24, that puts it 0.5 mil away. So I need to bring it back 1.5. So 22.5, which puts that right down the centre line, which is probably about right. Now the height of this is from the floor to the that's not as convenient a number. 3 3/4. So that's 21. This is the window edge. That's 3 3/4 is 21 plus 5. 21 plus 5, so it's 26 up. See how that looks. That looks a little low, not gonna lie. Okay, it's the top of the window. It's about... the drawing is not very precise, is the other issue. So 3 3/4 is... yeah, it's 26, right? Maybe that needs to be slightly taller then. Yeah, 2.5, alright. If I make that 16, that looks a bit more correct. And I also need to bring this back a bit further. Otherwise it's going to strike that bit, so I'm going to make that 23. That looks a bit better. Need to add some window ledging on the inside, because these have got slidey windows, and if they've got slidey windows that means they need somewhere for the windows to slide. I know, very creative. Have you done that again, printer? You better not have done. It's the middle panels, which is the more annoying point of this. Because if it's the middle bit of the fence that's shifted... No... How have you done... Where are these coming from, printer? Are you just making extra ones and spitting them out? I don't know where they've come from, but there's not any missing. I'm just gonna let it keep going and hope I get enough that are salvageable. Anyway, right, I need to regate for that as well at some point. So that one? No. That. No. That one? Yeah. Right, next to the door. Is it advisable to do both of these at the same time? Probably not. Am I doing it anyway? Yes. So the door window comes in at the same lower height as this does. And it's almost certainly the same radius on the edges. It's just all of the rest of it that's the question. So I think it's a bit shorter. I think it's also got a bit more of a gap between it and everything else. So from the edge of the inside of the window to the back of the cab is it's just less than 2.5 feet. So 2.5 feet is 14 plus 3. +14 plus 3 is 17. It's just a bit less than that, so I'm going to do it as 16. What number does that come out as? 10. There we go. Right, get rid of that line. The bottom of it's the same. The internal dimension of the glazing is kind of useless. It's about 18 inches by the look of it for the... just over 18 inches actually. How much just over? This would be a lot more precise if I was being precise. It's just over 18 inches in total, so that's 7. I'd only have it as 10, so that'll be 8? 8 if I do it like that. Have a millimetre of surround on it, which will just be a little slightly raised over the outside, as they've got, as far as I remember, aluminium framing? Galvanised. We done? Cool. 2.25 foot. 2.25 foot is 14 plus 2, which is 16. Yeah, they've generally got just metal finish. See, now that's clearly wrong now. What have I done wrong with the rest of it then? So that's nearer 2.5. So that's 2.5, that's 14, that's... that don't look right at all. The door window is smaller. This door window is 2.25 foot, and the main window is to an most of 3/8? 2 3/8? It doesn't look the same, but it's not that different. Make it 2.5 is it's so little difference that it's not helpful. Because 2 foot is 14mm. 2 foot 6 is 18.5mm. No, 17.5mm. It just doesn't look enough. Yeah, let's just smudge that up a little tiny bit further and see how that goes. Don't look right, it bothers me. Right, never mind, not going to get anywhere from just going at it. Windows on the front. That's a good point. Windows on the back is the other one that I don't actually have an angle of. I'm going to have to try and find those. So the windows on the front are different than the windows on the sides because they have to fit around all the bodywork. So we've got radius, 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 and the same on t'other side. Yep. These are again the same as far as I'm aware, and they've got the it's either aluminium plating or at least a rubber surround. I'm not too sure, it seems to vary a little. Either way, it doesn't just go a straight glass up against the metals, there'll be a bit of an edge. Right. Might try and play some 7 Days to Die or something later. Just title it Post-Brexit Simulator or something. No. I'll try and think of something amusing. I'm going to concentrate on just the one side for now. I'll do the other side in a little bit. So that's 2 foot. Nice and easy. 14mm, and it is just shy of 6 inches from the side. And if it's just come on, come on, come on. Right, so just shy of 6 inches from the side is 3mm. So it's 26, that's 23. Now it is, the window height is 6'6" to the top of that. So 6'6" is 42, 45.5. So it's 42.5. Yeah, blah 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 blah. So that's something like that. I could probably actually get my massive compass out and try and find out how big the angle is for the windows, or I can just measure them carefully. So they're just shy of 2 foot high at the base of the angle. Measure it from there. And then this side is an foot. Alright, now I just need to sort all these radiuses. I'd imagine these ones are going to be fairly small radiuses. These, as far as I'm aware, are consistent radiuses. That's a slightly larger radius. I think that's a 2. This top one is the more difficult one, as it is on the drawing about 8-9 inches. 8 or 9 inches is about 5. Yeah, it looks about right. Alright, now just to copy all of this across to the side. Sorry chat, been neglecting you for a bit. New deep rock. Deep rock could be good. There is the new content in it. It's quite fun so far. The new perks are different. I wouldn't say they're better or worse necessarily, they're just different for now. Couldn't really say off the top of my head. Printer does appear to be behaving, although some of the parts are peeling off the bed in an unusual fashion. Considering that's been printing fine for the last many things I've done. Maybe it's had enough. So I could just mirror the geometry for this, but it's a better illustration if you've got it all there in one piece. Let's make sure those are the same. So making all of these perpendicular. Perpendicular, tangential. Perpendicular's the 90 degrees. Shameful display. Right then. Those are the same. Those are the same. There we go. Right, so that's the front windows. So, just for a brief illustration, save as 04 cab. Export 04 cab. Go into Cura. So go to the prepare view. Now obviously the cab isn't finished yet compared to the rest of it, but it should illustrate the right, 5mm-ish. Alright, so that's approximately what we're looking at. Now if I combine this with the frame topper, as this is the part that everything rests on. Just pull that square with that. Actually I'll just pull it square straight through. So that's approximately, well, obviously it's not how it would look, because they'd be on the top, but that's about the proportions, and that doesn't look too bad. That's actually come out rather nicely. Now, one thing I probably can do is, that is 22mm high. There's a thing I can turn on and off. One of them is automatically stick stuff on the bed. I think that's in one of these. One of these settings. So, which one is it? Is it meshes? Being forgetful now. I've seen it before, I just haven't used it in a really long time. Special modes, nope. Mesh fixers, no. Dual extrusion, no. No. Sure, there's just a switch for this that's really easy to find. I'm just being blind. No. 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 Well, I hope everyone's enjoying their Friday afternoon. It is the last day of January in the brand new year of 2020, and it's off to a terrible start. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree. We've had, what? People thinking there's going to be World War III, plague, Australia's on fire or flooding. You know, all the inconvenient things. Is it general settings? It's probably general settings, isn't it? Yeah, automatically drop models to build plate. Oops. Okay, so this needs to be 22mm up. That needs to be 22mm up. There we go. That's what that's meant to look like. So nice and simple. This is essentially what we're looking at making. I might actually get a screenshot of that to use for the thumbnail. Save as. Right. I'll replace the rather dodgy thumbnail I've got so far. Documents, CAD stuff. Okay, and the printer's messed up. It's only messed up one of the four fence. One of the four fence sets. The other thing I probably should have done is just to print less fence sets, so I can print them faster, and if they fail I don't lose as much, because if that starts what's the word, tumbleweeding, that can be a problem. But yeah, that's not looking too bad so far. Obviously it needs more detail and stuff. I just now need to go and search for some of that. So if I spell it right enough. Alright, so the back windows look to be square. Look to be. Okay, Flickr. Flickr is generally a slightly more reliable thing to get links for. Right, I'm going to drop this link in the side chat if you want to have a look at the reference I'm using. That is the reference for the locomotive. Now the problem is, because I don't have the back view, this is slightly more difficult. So I just noticed this doesn't have a chimney. Oh, he's apparently used at Great Yarmouth and at Wisbech. Right, that's not actually a useful picture, because that's not a British Rail one, that's an industrial one, and they were slightly different. Yeah, because the ones I'm looking at, the British Rail ones, have much bigger rear windows. I should have found these pictures earlier, shouldn't I? There we go, that's a nice picture. Now, is it going to give me a good list? No, it's not, because it's Pinterest. You've got me again, Pinterest, thinking that you're a useful imaging site. Okay. Now, this also doesn't help that this version of the 04, the door and the window look to be about the same size. Yeah, rather the door window and the main window look to be about the same size. Alright then. Now, the question is, are the main windows big enough? Because I've got a nice picture of 04110 here, and it looks like the windows come down a bit further, but in Cura, they look about right. Buckinghamshire Railway Centre, yeah, the windows nearly clip across the bonnet tops, so it might be that they go a little bit deeper. But again, I'm going to have the window borders on them. I'm not going to worry too much on this version. If I do an improved one, I might try and correct it a bit. But this is meant to be a, you know, a proof of concept sort of thing. And because I like O4s. So, another one. Now, I could just make square windows and radius them afterwards. And honestly, that would probably be a lot easier. But as soon as you start putting radiuses into the main file, it starts spitting out errors whenever you want to edit something. So go, oh, your radiuses are wrong. Throw it all out the window. Which is inconvenient. I could try and post a link to another one. What's that one on the battlefield? Oh no, okay, there's another picture of it, but it's currently in a state of having work done. Right, there we go. However, that is a much better picture. So have a look at that link if you want to. That's 04110 on the Battlefield Railway. And if it loads in slowly enough, it'll show you the cab without too much issue. So I'm looking at this and going, how much of mine is wrong? Oh well. Right, so the back view of it, the windows come up to about the same height as the side windows, but they aren't quite as deep. But they're not as shallow as that first link I posted, which is a converted industrial one, because, believe it or not all of the locomotives built in the past were owned by the same people and made to the same standards. As I know, for example, at one point in the early 2000s, the UK had actually exported quite a large number of diesels to France for them to get used there. Now, if I'm optimistic with numbers, it'll probably be something like that. So, let's get these corrected. Let's actually look straight on at it again. So these windows look to be square, but it's very difficult to get a tidy view, I guess. Ugh. Sorry, some of the private owner versions of these look weird. Like the wheels look like far too small, sort of thing. Yeah, the windows do appear to be square at least, so we'll go with that for now. probably easier ways of doing this within the software, but I've not found it, and it doesn't take that much longer. I actually applied for a job doing this recently. I'm gonna see how that goes, I guess. Probably not. But to be honest, at the moment I can't really work that much, so it's probably for the best, but it's still, you know, been doing this for 10 years. I've not terrible at it, you know. Stupid ribcage. Oh yeah, I have a phone call from my doctor next Wednesday to see about referrals, I think, which really does not inspire me, because I had the appointment to book those in theory at the beginning of the month, and it's now going to be a month later. Yay. So I reckon, as I say, that these are what's the word? Symmetrical and approximately, well, they're obviously symmetrical, but they're probably square, or at least square enough. So my friend or not, let me look in the chat for a minute so I can have a look here. So that's the windows. So it's a little bit higher than the back window, because the back handrail runs at the base of the window height, so that's probably about right positioning wise. It's the width. There's a fairly chunky gap in the middle as well. Why are you doing this? Oh right, because that's not snapped to the middle line. So it's not, I'd say it's probably about centre for each panel. So if the windows are slightly taller than they are deep, let's go with 15 by 14, see how that looks. Because again, this isn't hugely precise, this just needs to look right. It's that bit, there we go. And the radius on the windows is not very much, I think probably about 2. Now, what's there's probably a fairly consistent number between the two, so that looks about right, and that's fairly plausible because it's a foot between the windows. It's approximately at the height of the other windows. It might actually be a little bit higher than that. That might then mean there's 70. Ooh, does that look about right, chat? I know that you can't necessarily see what I'm seeing, but that actually might be a little bit lower. No, it runs about the same height. So 40. What does 44 look like? Looks about right. Windows are just slightly shorter than them. Looks about right. It looks about right. That, you know, that's what I'm going for here. There we go. So that's the very basic box done for that. Now, the doors. Now, this is one of the things that's going to take a bit of working out. Okay, that's very nice, but that's not very helpful. Google. It's trying to show me not class 4s, it's trying to show me class 5s and variants, and it's just odd. Right, however, that is the basics of the cab. Now, the question is, chat, do you want to watch me try and draw the cab interior? Or would you rather slowly peel out your own skin? As it might take a while, is what I'm trying to say, with very overly elaborate wording. 04 diesel cab. Alright, let's... See, that's an 03. And I can tell it's no free because the windows are bigger and L-shaped, as opposed to the more smooth shape. The 03 has the windows bend around the body shell, so they give you slightly more depth of field. So the nice simple thing with this is the instrument panel, which I might actually make as a separate unit looking at the amount of stuff on it. Conversely, I'll just do a very basic one and hope for the best. Now I keep saying very basic things, and I keep meaning it. Ooh, look at this. Okay, it's the maximum speed in certain gears. In first gear, it'll do 3.5 miles an hour, I think. In second gear, it'll do 6 and a fraction miles an hour. Third gear, 9 and a fraction miles an hour. Fourth gear, 15 and a fraction miles an hour. And in fifth gear, 28 and a fraction miles an hour. Really, really getting some speed on with these. Can I find a picture of a Class 4? Because it's just showing me pictures of Class 3s. So I'm pretty sure they were the same, just one was made in-house at Doncaster and the other one wasn't. So they're functionally the same internally, I'm pretty sure, with obviously minor variations. This is not productive. This is why I was going to make this without the cab wall attached. Oh well, so first of all, instrument box. So this goes almost up to the cab roof and to just next to the windows. And it also goes below the windows, which doesn't really help because that's not very clear. Just above the windows? Just below the windows? Alright, this one. I guess I'll go with this one. Excuse me. Alright, that's a Class 37. That's... You're really not helping now. Should have done my research earlier, but this was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. Right, so I'm assuming this console box is probably 18 inches across. So that means it'd be 17 and a half. So it'd be about that big. That looks far too small, because it's not aligned to the back windows, it's aligned to the front windows. It probably means it's 14mm. What does 14mm look like? That looks a bit better. Okay. So this is the main instrument box, which has all of the various different dials and readouts to let you know what's going on with things like, you know, oil pressure, engine speed, all that, you know, all that good stuff. This is really unhelpful because I haven't got the proper picture. That's rather nice. Right, you may have to forgive me a minute, chat, while I go and have a quick hunt around on some different pages. At D2578, as they own 03145, obviously D2578, and if I can find the picture. Photos, right. Timeline photos. Facebook has replaced so many forums over time because it's a fairly easy format where everyone kind of is. Doesn't mean it's a good thing necessarily. You know, Facebook is really creepy in that it could recognise my face without any reference to it being my face. That was right, I know they got some pictures somewhere on here. Oh, printer, why? Right, glad I had a look. It's trying to tumbleweed. This is... Alright, I've just, yeah. The first row of fencing had basically just all peeled off and was slowly trying to take everything else with it. So that's been contained. Anyway, back to where I was. Also, I'm going to put my fan on because it's cold in here. And getting the heating on is going to take a bit of time. Right, there's one picture that might help. Is it a useful picture or even a relevant picture? We'll find out soon. There's another picture. But that is of the 03. Come on, I'm pretty sure that was a picture of the 04. The advantage if they have a pair, for one of each, so I can, in theory, if they have the pictures, I can find them. There's all the work they were doing on the Grampus. More work on the Grampus. I might try and make a Grampus at some point because they have so many good pictures of it. Blah, 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 blah. More pictures of it. There we go. D2302. I'm not quite sure which 04 that is, but it's D2302. Come on, I'm sure there was a picture of this, and I'm hopefully not just wasting all of your lovely people's time. Bugger. So I've got... That's the 05 for a start, so that's straight out. That's the 03, which is not much more helpful, but I guess it will have to do. Okay, I couldn't find a good picture. Sorry about that, chap. Right then, this box is not very big. It's about 4mm at most. I'm going to take it out of wireframe. It's going to be so basic, but it'll work. It's just I'm not happy about it. I wanted to do a better job. Right. So, the cab in one of these diesels is just below the windows. By the cab, the control panel inside the cab. Just below the windows, that's 25mm up. It looks to be about 3 inches thick, maybe 4 inches thick, so I'll go with 2.5mm. And then it's obviously the width of the cab, and it's about half the depth of the windows. This is how many feet wide? Yeah, looks about right. So it's 25, which means this is 50 for the shelf. Yep. Now this extends out a little bit more than that. Let's go 13. No, it's not 13. 12? Yeah, 12 looks about right. Okay, so that is your very, very basic cab interior. Now, it also has some seats, and it's got gubbins on the back wall, but this is not going to have a lot of that. So I'm probably going to make the glazing flush on the inside. Or I might try and... Not too sure how I'm going to sort the glazing, actually. Part of me is tempted to make a glazing box that sticks on the inside or on the outside. I'm not too sure. But it definitely has an overlay on each side. Let's try cab interior and see if it's come up with anything for that. Well, that's even less helpful, Google. Well done. You have disappointed me once more. Another class 37. Class 58. I might have to just leave it out because I can't find enough references, which is annoying. Or I could add them in later, probably, but still. Well, I guess, chat, it's time to sort the window frame. So I'm going to have a quick last scroll back up through this Facebook group, see if I can find anything that would be helpful. So I'm sure they had some pictures of the cab interiors, and to be honest, it's mostly just the seats. I'm just trying to work out how high up the seats go. Because they're seats that you can drive the thing from, which means they need to be relative to the control panel. So, you know, you can reach. There's more of the Class 5, which is a lovely interior. It's very well cared for, that one. Grampus, them painting the Class 5 at some point. Painting it at different points. Nice Christmas card. Yeah, this must be riveting, chat. Not gonna lie. You must be like on the edge of your seats going, ooh, what's he gonna do next? Is he gonna continue to waffle about stuff we can't see? The seats are on hinges. Not quite sure how that works. How does that? I think I'm missing something there. More of the Class 5. So I'm going to leave the roof not attached so I can always add bits in afterwards. But it's annoying that I can't find the references. Because I need them. I need the references. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to start on the cab. The exterior. Grumble. Now, the sensible person in me might adjust how I'm going to do this. Ah, my spine. Ah, my spine. Why are you doing this to me now? Dignified. So I might be a minute. I'll explain anyway. What I was going to say, while I'm trying to get up, is the windows cut through. There's a surround that goes around the windows, and it goes on both sides, and the window just cuts straight through the middle. Now, the easy thing to do is for me to go back, cut all the windows out again, rather just not cut them out, but not put them in yet, put the surrounds in, then put the window through again. And that might make things a little easier. Ugh. Ow. Come on, so I can make myself a bit more work and do it this way. Right. So. Let's get a screenshot of all of that. Okay, close. Sketch number 7. Right. Oh. So yeah, see this will be easier if I just put the windows in afterwards. But it's not much different. No, it will be much different because I have to do all that twice. What I'll do is I'll use all the measurements for this one. And I'll just reverse the order that the file goes together in. And by reverse, I know what I mean. I'm gonna be a little slow for a bit, chat. Right then. Now the cab window's different. The cab window, the door window. Words. Oh, 04 110. Right. Oh no, it starts the same surround. Must be the 03 then that's got the different door. Or it just has the same surround anyway. Seems to just have the same surround anyway. Don't tumbleweed, printer, it's bad for you. If you choke on it, I'll have to start picking chunks out the fan, and hopefully not chunks of fan out of me. I can hear you. I can hear you. Ah, ha, ha. Not in the other fan either. Grumble. Okay. Alright, now my printer is not trying to choke itself. This should go a bit easier. Don't know what it was, 2 of the parts each time just didn't stick to the bed properly. I'm not quite sure why. But I can avoid that next time by just not printing that part. Or it might print fine next time. It does this sometimes. Okay. Braining. Right, let's get these measured up adequately. So I'm going to put a 1mm board around all of it. So for starters, all these arcs be the same. And they're going to be the same at 2.5mm. And that is going to be 18mm high. And that is going to be 19.5mm high. That is going to be 25 wide. I'm going to do this all twice as well because that I've got to shave the chunk out in the middle. That is 10 wide. with 10 between these. That is 25 high. Well, that's weird, melancholy thoughts. Thanks, brain. You're a good help today. And that is 23 away from there. Okay, these need to be parallel, which they are evidently not based on the angle of that line. Alright. At least one of these things is inconvenient. Let's try that. Draining. Something's still not. There we go. So that's the useful sketch that goes around the windows. Printer! I heard that. Stop it. Right, now I need the same on the other side, and I don't believe I can mirror it, but I will... No, I'm going to mirror it. I can only mirror in the same face, it can't mirror around corners, as it were. Right. So this should be 2.5. Now I need to do all the connecting lines betwixt. Now in theory I could have just done this as a chop through the whole cab and just cut the middle out. However, it means if I want to adjust it later, it's just more steps but easier steps, I guess is the way of looking at it. That needs to be 10. That needs to be 10. Make these equal, that might save me a bit of time. Might, probably won't though. 19.5. $23. 25. that's already all set up. So now I need to just go around and make the relevant bits there. In theory, as long as I've got enough of it square, it should all slot into place where it's meant to be. Shouldn't take long, it's all the same sizes, so in theory should be there any second now. There we go, right. Okay. Why are they slightly misaligned? Why are they misaligned? That's odd. What's wrong with this one then? Huh. That's the same, isn't it? What? What's different? Ah, that bit. Over-constrained. Delete that. Okay. There we go. Found the problem. Okay. So the first print is progressing. I'll need to make some gates for it at some point, but not just yet. Might also trim off every other fence post so it doesn't actually go into the ground that much, just so I don't have to keep poking holes in the baseboard. So. Oh, printer. Printer Y. Oh, that's a massive tangle it's got now. Okay. So, wind this back to that bit. So 0.5, dimension 2, 1.5. So it sticks out a bit inside now. Ah, now that's not worked. Grumble. 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 Hopefully I've not deleted anything that was needed. Okay. Now is this sketch number 7? Yes. What? No, I did do it right, it's fine. I'm just being slow. And in theory, I could have it like that, but I'm not going to, because I say I want to be able to put the window frames in later. Sketch number 8. Fine. 0.5. 1.5. Okay. Now on that facing, I want sketch number 2. That's not the facing. On that facing, I want sketch number 2. Now I could be helpful and label all of these myself, but Alright, what was wrong with that? Well, that's odd. Oh, it's because it covers both. Alright, let's try it on that facing then. So sketch 2 on that face. Alright, yeah. Oh, lovely. Right. Through all. No, that's even worse. Excellent. Copy. Edit sketch. I see, now it's not going to let me paste it in, is it? Because of course not. Making more works myself. Like a boss. Oh, good. It's doing this now. Yay! Alright. Good on software. Very, very cool. Well, bugger. Now what? I guess I'll put the instrument panel back on. Is that sketch number 5? How thick did I say that was? 4 minutes? Right, yeah, the drawing's broken. Brilliant! Let's go all the way back to part 1. All the way back to part 1, there we go. Right. So that's on that facing, yeah. It's a nice smoothed over roof. Okay. So sketch number 7. Goes by 0.5 and 1.5, good. The other side. Remap sketch number 8. Good, right. Now let's try and map sketch number 2 to this face. And now it works. This software, sometimes it's just kill me now. Okay then, this facing, sketch number 5. Extrude it by 4. I'll put the dials on in a little bit. See, this now already looks better because it's got depth to it. Because that's one of the things that really makes things look good in this context is depth. Now I believe I made this 12mm, yeah. Not got any of the control panel gubbins, that'll get added in later. I'm probably going to set it into neutral or whatever I can do in that regard. So I'll just pin vice into the desk, put all the stuff in, maybe pop the cab off, put all the piping in underneath, but that'll be a separate part because that's going to be a lot of work. So next, back window. Back windows are nice and easy. And so same as before. So this time I'm going to be lazy. I'm only going to do one side. So all the arcs are the same size. Now I think I made that 2s, these need to be 3. This therefore needs to be 6mm away from there. That's going to be a convenient number, such as 45. That's going to be 19. Windows are going to be 16. That all seems about right. So these two are the same length. These two are the same length. Just going to put each corner in alignment and then start filling in any required gaps as it should. Hopefully I've pulled all of them straight. There we go. Okay, so this then is going to be 0.5 thick by 1.5. I will then map sketch. No, I won't. I'm going to mirror it first, so pad number 5 to there. Excellent. And then I'm going to map sketch number 4 to that face. There we go. Oh, printer. Wish it wouldn't tumbleweed so often. Should have done a smaller file, but I was like, nah, it's fine, it'll be fine. I'll just do like a nearly 2-hour print without, you know, any redundancies in it, so it, you know, if it messes up, I don't lose the whole project. Oh, my spine. The ones that have come out lovely though. It's just the entire bottom row is gone, bar for a single panel. I'm just gonna shut my curtain a second. Or I'm not going to, because everything on my bed immediately slides underneath my feet. Excellent, be a sec. Why am I being so clumsy and unaware of physics today? Okay, right. This one, I'm going to need to check the measurements for it, so that I can get a good semblance. It should be fairly simple, but I want to be sure. Yeah, whatever I've done to my spine is not enjoying it. Good times. I think after the stream I'm going to go and get a hot water bottle and sit here and go yeah for a while. Because that sounds pleasant. So, measurements that are required. That is 5, so therefore that is 6, because it's all a millimetre bigger. These two I decided were the same diameter, for no other reason than because they looked about right. And that was 2, so that is 3. $16mm. It is 30mm there to there, so that's Ooh, that's not a very precise measurement to pick, but never mind. 15? It's really not a good measurement to have picked. 46. Yeah, because that is not helpful. That's 7, so that's 9, but it's really not, because it's not a squared measurement. None of this looks right now. Is this 0.5 millimeter higher? That looks better. Okay. What am I missing? Width. Now, this is probably going to end up just running without windows for a bit, or at least without, glazing. So again, it's more of a proof of concept than anything. What was that noise? Concerning me, printer. So now map sketch number 3 to that face. Cut it through. There we go, and there is the very basic CAD block. Now, all the rest of the bits, like the handrails, and also need to do the doors. The doors are very much the priority, because without the doors, it's going to look really weird. So, now the doors do not reach the cab floor even slightly, because the cab floor is raised because it has all the transmission underneath of it. Also, I'm pretty sure there's a step on the inside of the cab, but I'm not sure how high, so I'm not gonna include that. The simplest way to do the door is 2 rectangles and make a slight divot on the outside, just so that you can sort of see where the door's meant to be. But the question is, how deep should the divot be? Most pictures I can find, the door is either flush with the side, or is very, very slightly set back, or all the useful pictures, and by useful pictures, not useful pictures, the door is slightly open, which makes it really hard to tell. I think just having a 0.5 millimeter surround on the door should work. So, the door is 5.5 feet tall by 2 feet wide at the wide bit. So that's 5.5 foot is, what's 5.5 foot? 35, 38.5. And that goes to just below the top of the wall. I'm going to say it's just shy of it, because otherwise I'll be cutting into the, well, that's about right actually. $13. Let's go make this 0.5 mil narrower all around. Just give it a little divot, so it shows it has a bit of depth. Now this is centered to the window. 5? Yeah, 5 is fair. What are you doing, printer? Oh, you're spitting hairballs into the rest of it. Grumble. Okay, it's just It just had a lump that it had been carrying around with it that had dropped, and it was just plinking off the fence wires. Right. .5. There we go. Right. This isn't going to be a full depth cut. That is nearly a foot. Wow. Alright. Yeah. Doesn't look right, but that's correct. Let's get a quick screen grabber for that. So that is very helpful. And we're going to go in 0.5. I might add some... You know, the door hinges are on the inside because the doors open inwards. Because having doors that open outwards on shunting vehicles will be difficult, because if the door wobbles open or something, or you don't shut it correctly, or if you're leaning out of it and the door catches on something, it's either going to rip the door off or it's going to squash the door into you. Neither of which appeals. It's kind of like if, you know, when you try to back up your car, you wouldn't want to have your door open and then suddenly have the door shut on you. Especially if it's in a tight space and you've got something like a, you know, fancy German car next to you. What was that, printer? I see you there. I see you carrying a piece of crap around on the printer head. Grumble. Just let me get on with things, printer. Why must you do this? Where's that gone? I don't know what it's done with it, but it's carrying a piece of plastic around on the nozzle. Hope everyone's enjoying the workshop type videos. Yeah. Not 0.5. Not 0.5. 37.5. 13, 14, 5, and again 0.5. There we go. So that is starting to look much more the part. Next up we have the handrails. The handrails are fairly nice and simple, and in fact they're so simple that I'm probably going to just try and put them through the whole vehicle in one go. We shall see. So first handrails are either side of the door. They go to just adjacent with the base of the window, down to just above the floor, like so. And then there is a second shorter handrail underneath the window, so if you are traversing the cab side, you are not going to have a bad day, hopefully. Okay, and that's it for the sides. The sides are nice and easy. So next, go. Don't miss for a start. Have a look at the chat again shortly. I've just got my second monitor being used for the reference picture. So that's the basics. Now, what's the actual relevant measures of all of this? Not very helpful. Just a bit more than 3 foot, 3.5 foot top to bottom. Now I'm not actually going to be able to do that. So 3 foot is 21, and it's not quite 21 plus 3, so I'm going to do 21 plus 2, so it's just 23. I'm also going to make sure all of these are the right size, because that'll make it visually easier to tell. There we go. These rails are, again, yeah, not quite 3 foot apart. They are close to 2'6" across the interior, but not quite 2'6". And 2'6" would be, it's about 18. It's about 18, so it's probably 19 across the outsides. Does that look right? Not really. However, that's 14 and 5, but it's got another 5 on it, so that's 2.5. That's centre, but that's obviously not where it needs to be, so that needs to be a bit lower, because that needs to be in line with the base of there. Because again, the measurements themselves don't necessarily have to be right, as long as the location is correct, if that makes sense. Because if you know that the handrails are flat with the base of the windows, as for the windows are in the wrong place, it's not that bad as long as the handrails align. Because, you know, at least it's consistent even if it's wrong. Or at least that's, you know, an way of looking at it. So, the middle of the window is where exactly? So the window is 25 wide. There to there, so this should be fairly easy to measure. From the centre of the handrail to the door is 18 inches. And the door is 5 away, and this is 5 away, so this should be 5. The handrail is nearly 2 feet long, which means it's about 12 millimetres. Now that looks kind of too long, but isn't actually. We'll make it 11 because it's got the radius on the outside. There we go. That looks more like it. Now I just need to get the height of that one right. The height of this is just below the window height. But it would have bigger knobs on it, but I'm doing it with the wire handles, not knobbed handles. Because I don't have tougher bits. So I can see one minor problem with this already, but it shouldn't be too bad. We have a hole all the way through the desk. But that's fine, because what I can do is move the desk. So the desk is that one? Is that one? Is that one? Is that one? Right, so we're going to go back up to here. This shouldn't break anything. And yet it has. Okay, fine, be like this. Grumble. See, this is why I try and remember to do things in the right order. Update. There we go. Okay. So I've got the back handrails to do next. Oh, I've just noticed the bit it's been carrying around, it's spat it out. I can try and... There we go. Get it out of the way. Get it, come on, shoot. Okay, so I've got 3 lengths of fencing that have come out pretty well. And in future I'm going to do them in single sets because this is suffering. Just got to redo all of this. It shouldn't take too long. The other thing is, this is why I generally try and split prints into certain patches where possible, which is why some of my oldest massive prints, like the me... Why? Why are you like this? You just accepted... Okay, good. Piece of shit. Sometimes the software just decides to be really difficult. So that's, you know, that's always fun. Yeah, doing stuff like the, I think the 1E tender, or the 1F tender, or the 1G tender, I forget which one. Anyway, big freight locomotive tender that has several hundred rivets on it. Is if you make a mistake and you need to redo those several hundred rivets, it's suffering. So that's on that face. Good. It's going to be a little sluggish to actually get anything done at the moment, but it'll get there. So vertical face, copy. One advantage of doing it in less pieces is you know what to do about this. Ah, see, that's where it's decided to go wrong, because the mirrored part was not there, so it's lost the mirror reference, so it's just gone, oh, I don't know what to do, and broken. However, once this is fixed, the rest of it should go back together very quickly. Yes, there should be a window pillar on there, if you've seen the proper ones. However, the window pillar is going to be attached to the glass instead, because it seems better. Also going to do things like the horn and the roof will be separate pieces. Yep, see, all of these are correct now, and I just need to approve them. There we go. And now the desk can come back in. This is why you would do the interior last, if you're not, you know, me and stupid. Printer, I can hear you doing bad things again. Why are you doing this? Okay, there we go. So that is the very basics done. I just need the back wall. The back wall is the lamp line's going to be separate. The lamp will be separate. They're rear cab windows open? I don't think so. Let's have a look at a few different examples. Okay, that's the same example. No, that's not a sticker. Blah, blah. That's not a hinge rivet. That is the sticker that is the warning of, you know, electricity overhead lines sticker, so that you don't stand on the back and then reach upwards. Because if you do, there's several tens of thousands of volts right there. Most people don't like being electrocuted. It's a thing. I personally don't. I know one of my housemates did when I used to live with when I was a student. That was odd. Yeah. So this goes level with the base of the windows, like the other one did. Except this one, why do all of these have to be different? Who thought that was a good idea? Right, 23. 0.5. Doing all the wire handrails for these is going to be really dull. But it'll be fine. So, I'm going to make that up to 24, because it's almost the full width. And the height of it is 25. And that is going to go through like that. There we go. So that is, I think, all the primary bits done. Extra things might need to be added, like air cylinders and what have you, but that'll be a later job. Mainly because pretty much all the pictures I've got do not have the air cylinders visible. All they've got I say aftermarket, they've got post-production add-ons, like lockers and stuff on the side panels, extra bits and pieces that have been added for like different braking equipment, because most of them would, I'd imagine, be running on vacuums. It might be running on air though, and if you've got both, you need both sets of equipment. That's all extra gubbins. So that, however, is, as far as I'm aware, done. As I'm not seeing any extra handrails on the front, I'll just need to do stuff like add the horns, add in the extra interior. So, that has come out not terrible. Hey, not terrible. That might be a bit of an issue. Is there something holding up the instrument panel? Can I spell control panel accurately? Well done, Google. You've really tried then. You put me straight back to the front page. Wow, that's even less useful than the first time I searched for this. Let's try instrument panel. Well, that's evidently from cars, but you know, you tried. I should use DuckDuckGo more. It does work better for this kind of thing, but it's not got as many results is the issue. So it's good when it's good, but when it's got nothing, it's nothing. Right, I can probably get away with a couple of brackets holding up the thing, but I'm not going to just yet. Also, the bottom of this is going to be difficult. Put a chamfer on there, that might help a little bit. Same with under here, because that will make it a little bit better. And I want to make sure the cab stays square, so I'm going to call that one nicely. Okay, can we stop rotating, please? Bloody hell. Right. I think then that that's that done. Now the question is, what livery do I paint this in? Because I think I'm probably going to paint this just in black, but I might paint it in blue. Probably paint it in black though. Spine. Right. 04 cab. Save. Should have been doing that more often, shouldn't I? Hello, Omegon. I'm currently using some of the filament you gave me to make fences. Very exciting. Hey, it's done. Hour and 52 minutes. Now, chat, your opinions. Do I print a new body, or do I print the cab as the next file? You've got a minute to decide while I'm prising this off the bed. That's a bit of a mess. Right. Hey, that's come out quite nicely. Back's not quite so good, but it'll be fine. Oh, my spine. Feels like I went to sleep on a pile of rocks. I didn't, for those who were curious, but print it all. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Omegon, but oh, my spine. Oh, I come up for 2.5 hours, wow. That was not that long, considering. I mean, I only drew the cab, which is a fairly simple element, but still. Export, cab. So it's 44 kilobytes, and it's now 219 kilobytes. So let's switch to Cura. And let's update from the original one I drew some time ago, today, to this new one. Okay, can we rotate without just spinning it incessantly? There we go. So yeah, there we go, that's the side by side, I guess. So that was 22, 76, 75, 75. There we go, side by side. So you've got the original, which is boring, flat, no, nothing really to it. Not even got back windows. And then there's the better one. I think that's come out rather nicely. Right, so which bit of this do I print first? And get rid of that. Get rid of that. Because both parts need printing, but they're going to be printed at the same time. I think I'll print the cab, see how that goes. Or I could just print both. They're not simultaneous though, is the issue. Quality 0.12 even. Slice. Let's see how this looks in the slicer. Oh, 4 hours, that's not bad. Desk looks pretty decent. All the holes are in the right places. There's no real detail on the doors, but they've got a bit of a wiggle in them, so that should give me some indicator. There we go. Nice. Cab. Save file. Open up another version of Cura. And in this version of Cura, I'm going to get the front end. I'm going to put them both on the memory stick and then spend the next quite a long time printing both. The front of the print is there. I want to print it sidewise. So the things to do next will be stuff like the chimneys, the radiator grill. Okay, so now it's 4 hours for the cab. It's nearly 5 hours just for the body shell. Well, it does look like it's going to come out much better than the previous one did, so it's something. Assuming it does come out as well, that'll be even better. Right then, and you can't see this on the stream because it can only see one at a time. Eject. Right. Chat, you've got me for about another 20 minutes. Anything you want me to draw, suggestions, or I'll just do what I want to do. Because I can. So that's kind of how it is. Oh, I'm not going to scroll through all of that right now. Whew. Okay, so I shouldn't need Cura for a bit because I've got 8 hours plus of printing lined up. Go back to free CAD. Now, close that out. Don't think I've edited that at all, so discard any changes. Close that. Right, we're back to here. So I need to make some gates. So for the gate for this, it needs to fit inside those parameters and look not terrible. Now I'm going to make it so the gate can be open or closed, because that seems productive. Now what's the best way of doing that? I could do a simple gate, I could do all kinds of different ones. I think though I'm going to do a little... I'm trying to do a gate that matches this style but isn't quite the same. So file, save as, misc, fence 1 gate. So, next up, I need to make the gap betwixt brain. Why am I being so slow at the moment? To make a nice simple gate that goes between the two. 4 foot wide by 3 foot high-ish. I've done some of these before, I'm just not quite sure. I had one as a reference. Okay, I can see that, which is obviously fairly simple. See all the fences, I just don't have any gates. Okay. Right, yeah, brain. That makes sense. That's the kind of gate I was actually going to do as well. Actually got a gate I've made previously. Might be a bit big though, as it's a road gate, not a pedestrian gate. So... Words. Edit. Set sketch 1 to that face, just so I can get the reference for those in. Okay. That gives me the top and bottom line. So, the gate. It's going to sit between two of these posts. Hello, new people. This needs to be at most 26mm across. Though it can be a little higher than it was previously. Um, 21 makes sense though. Okay, now if I have it supported at this end, However, I suppose at this end, because that'll make it easier to draw. The hanger needs to go in this direction, because that's the direction that it'll need supporting to keep it true. Now it's going to be I'm at least intending metal tube fence. One. How am I doing? Hopefully my printer's going to behave better on this run, but if not, it's only one part, so if it starts to fail early on, I can just can it and start over. I'll try and make it so the cross piece goes that way, because that looks a bit nicer to my mind. Alright. So, got a very, very basic gate. I need to put some hinges on that end, so I can just have it as its own element. I'm going to need some more bars across there. Try and put the bars in line with the fence, so it looks consistent, but it'll be square as opposed to round section, because fabricated gates probably, you know, try and make it match the surrounding area as easily as you can without too much work. But it'll be a lighter material, and if I use the expanded brain I can make this look nicer as well. I will do this. So like that. Hopefully it will become clear shortly, and I'm not just slowly rambling myself into oblivion. Or at least yourselves into oblivion. Come on. There. Right, fine, don't. Get a new line. Blackjack and hookers. Futurama. Right. Why is this not behaving? So it's somewhere in the region of Excuse me. Sneezing should not hurt. Never mind. I can't do much about it anyway. Right then, 24.5. One. No, not two. One. There we go. Yeah. So those two need to be the same. And they need to be one as well. And that bar is 6. That bar should also be 6. So it should work. 5. Right, what's unlocked? Top line. There we go. So we've got bar on one side, frame on the other. Just need to put the hinges on now. Easiest way of doing the hinges is just as a block, rather than doing anything particularly fancy. Because it's going to get printed that way up. So 27, no, go with 28, why not, have that be 2mm, two foot between. $300. It's about what they cost here. Yeah, the new My Chemical Romance tour is going to be a very pricey endeavour for people who decide to do it. Right, sure. Now, this is hopefully going to be a nice simple thing to do. Nearly at the 3-hour mark, and I've nearly finished. That's convenient. Right, so that's that many. That's that many. No, it isn't. It's that many. $24.5. $3 grand to get bloody. I'm glad ghosts weren't that expensive. Right, so these ones. So make as a they've been out of doing it for what, 10 years? How good do you reckon their voices still are? I don't imagine time has been kind to them. And if you're of a, shall we say, less polite opinion, how good were they in the beginning? 22.5. Make this post 0.5, 0.4. Well, why do you think they've decided that now is the time they're coming back? There we go. It's not perfect, but it at least looks like a gate. Now I just need to cut off that side. Boom. Nice, simple gate. Export. Fence 1 gate. Right, well I think, chat, it's coming for 3 hours, and I've, been rambling for most of that time, so I'll leave you there. I hope you'll have a lovely day, and I might see you again later, tomorrow, at some point. Probably at some point, let's go with that. See ya!